Hi, and welcome back to... I read a lot more books. I read 5 books this month. I loved pretty much every single one. Each one affected me mentally, positively, negatively, made me think about my life and my choices. So each book I'm going to rate on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. The first book I read this month was If He Had Been With Me. I have literally no words. After I finished this book in a day, I just sat in complete silence. This book broke my heart at the end. It made me laugh, it made me cry. I related to pretty much everything that happened. The writing style is really different from what I'm used to. It's sort of like short sentences, very few dialogue, but the point gets across and you still understand what's happening. This is basically about Autumn, who's a girl who's best friends with this guy Finney, who's her neighbor. Their moms or BFFs have always been. They kind of have their own problems. Autumn's mom is really going through a lot of stuff and Finney's mom has to help her. Autumn and Finney were like BFFs back in the day. They do everything together, and then when it gets to like middle school and high school, they kind of like grow apart. They have different friends and relationships while they're in high school. Autumn constantly thinks of scenarios if he had been with me, and it just makes you like feel bad for her. They're very awkward when they're like together, but you can see that they still care for each other. They're always there for one another if they don't really want him or not. Feelings soon become clear that they've always been in love with each other. And at the end, there's a couple scenes and it literally like breaks your heart. My heart was shattered just like this freaking lollipop. And I was really sad. The whole book, it's kind of like very fast paced, which I do like, but the ending, it just, everything slows down in not a good way. It's like really sad, but I did really like this book. The ending leaves you very unclear and sort of like up to your interpretation. Basically about regrets and growing up and family and relationships, and I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it and it broke my heart. I also don't know what is on, there's like a weird like stain on this. I don't know what that is. It's really freaking me out. Next book I read has my whole heart. I want to hold it to my chest and just hug it. It is, of course, The Dead Romantics. I love this book. It is unlike your normal sappy, feel-good kind of romance book. Freakishly relatable, and it has these deep quotes. There's so many like funny lines, and I love every single character, and it's just a very different plot than what you're usually used to. There's a lot of like connections and what ifs, just so much heartbreak. Florence is a ghostwriter and she goes to her editor Ben for an extension. She doesn't believe in love anymore because her ex is an absolute jerk. She can't write her little love stories that she usually writes for the ghostwriter for the girl whose name I can't remember. He denies and she cries. He's like, no, you need to tell what's her face that she needs to get out this book like tomorrow or something. No one knows that she's the ghostwriter. So her and her friend decide to go to the bar, drink away all of her worries, because she's like, I'm not gonna be able to finish this book. And she goes outside for some reason and Ben's there, and then she gets a call that her dad died. And so now she has to go back to her hometown and do all of the funeral requirements. And she hasn't been home in a long time because of something that happened in her past, because she can see ghosts. Her and her dad could see ghosts, which is really weird, but they help them like move on, like help them figure out what they need to do. But as she's at her house, she sees Ghost Ben. She's like, wait, he can't be dead. I literally just saw him yesterday. Well, it turns out, yeah, he's a ghost. So she tries to help him move on, and they can't really figure out what they have to do. And they just kind of slowly fall for each other, and it's so beautiful and so painstakingly painful at the same time, because they literally can't be together. He's a ghost, she's alive, and it's sort of like that what if, push-pull kind of thing. There is a twist at the end, which I kind of was suspecting the whole time, and then when it came true, I was like, yes. They really helped each other through both of their bad moments. He helped her move through the passing of her dad. Truly, truly just a beautiful story. The words that this author writes makes me feel something. She writes in such a way where all of her words have such deep meanings behind them. They have so much like hope and distinction and just love in them. It took a while to get like actually into the book, but once I did, I literally couldn't put it down. I gave this 4 stars. Okay, the next book I read is The Numbers Game. And I saw this at like a secondhand bookstore, and I got it not really knowing what to expect, and I actually really liked it. I would definitely think it'd be better to read this when I'm older, like in my 20s, 30s maybe, but I did think it was good to read the age I am now. It goes into several different relationships and their families, and everything's like connected together somehow by one person or another. The way she writes, you can hear every person's thoughts and feelings, which I do like. It's not in like one person's point of view. It starts out with this couple, Eileen and Paul, who are married and they have kids, but they're in a loveless marriage. They were both really focused on their careers, and she accidentally got pregnant. They weren't like really dating, and their families forced them to get married, and so they couldn't pursue their dreams and goals in their careers, which they blame each other for. Paul is literally the biggest freaking jerk ever. He has an affair with someone else, and Eileen finds out, and they split. And they honestly do better apart. It was kind of a rough start at the beginning, but they were finally able to focus on the careers that they have always dreamt of pursuing. Also, Eileen is turning 40, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm turning 40, like I'm old and I'm ugly. And especially she feels really insecure because Paul had an affair with a much younger woman, like in her 20s, and they're both like in their 40s. So she was like, well, great, I'm really ugly now because my husband freaking cheated on me with a younger woman. Honestly, their relationship made me realize what I don't want. The woman that Paul cheated on, her name was Olivia, and she's like the daughter of like a movie star, and so her whole family's like basically famous. And we learn about her grandma and her boyfriend, which, oh my god, their relationship is so cute. She's like 94 and he's 86 or something. Olivia was dating Paul, and he was like, oh yeah, my marriage is dead. Well, he lied about that. And so Olivia dropped him like a piece of trash. And now she's doing bigger and better things. Eileen and Paul, they have a daughter, Penny, and she also goes through a really hard experience at the beginning of the book, which makes her mature more quickly. Really, all of the characters have so many problems that they slowly overcome. It really bounces all over the place between the characters and the families, Eileen and Paul, Olivia and her whole side of the family, Penny and her boyfriend. It really went into relationships and how people change. Always choose your dreams, work hard, and that age is just a number. There's a quote that I absolutely love in this book. I will read it to you. It's on page 231. Age is just a number, and numbers have no power over you unless you allow them to. You can feel too old at any age if you let yourself. You're never too old or too young for anything. You're just the right age. It's all a numbers game invented to frighten you. Hence the title of the book. But that quote just, it really shows you can do anything if you believe. I feel like I was like absorbing every single word and scenario and just learning from their terrible lives. Literally felt like a movie and I couldn't put it down, so I gave it 4 stars. Next book I finally read after seeing so many book talk videos on it on Instagram and fan art and everything. It is, of course, Twisted Games, book 2 of the Twisted series. This can be read as a standalone. And this book, oh my gosh, it literally has everything you would ever want. Forbidden love, enemies to lovers, lots of drama, friends, family, loss, all that juicy stuff that you want. Bridget is a princess and she's living in the normal everyday life. She does not want to be queen. So she does have a bodyguard, Booth, who has to leave on paternity leave. And so a new guy steps in, Mr. Riz Larson, and he is a little on the nose of safety, and it's hate at first sight. Bridget is like a free spirit. She's like, I want to do what I want to do. And he's like, no, it's not safe. He's always telling her what she can do, and she hates that, and she denies and fights about it, which none of his clients have ever done before. There is definitely an obvious attraction. They can both, sense it, but they can't act on it because, of course, they're working for each other. They're pretty closed off for a while. It's strictly bodyguard and princess situation, but then they slowly become friends. I wouldn't really say like best of friends, but they can, laugh with each other sometimes. He continues to protect her through a lot of dangerous situations. Like there's one like scene at the park and it's so intense. I would be traumatized afterwards, but she seems like she's okay. Sooner or later, she finds out that her brother is abdicating the throne, which means she is next in line for the crown, which she panics because she does not want to be queen. She has not practiced, she has not gone to any of the lessons that she needs. At one point, they finally admit their feelings and they have a little scandalous rendezvous that they continue until they really can't anymore. She has to find a husband in order to get the crown. Lots of things happen, lots of drama. I love this book and the fact that it was forbidden romance. I love that trope. There's also a crazy family twist at the end with Riz. I did see it coming, so I wasn't like totally shocked, but it was still exciting. I will definitely be reading this book again. It's just so good. So I gave it 4 stars. The last book I read is, of course, Fourth Wing. I finally freaking got my hands on it. It is literally sold out everywhere, and the hype on this book is insane ever since it came out. And I read it, and I don't know how to feel about it. It honestly took me so long to get through this book, and I don't know why. It would have like really good scenes in it, and then I would be bored and I would just like put it down, and then I'd pick it up again and I'd be like, oh my god, and then I get bored again and put it down. And I did like it, don't get me wrong. In the grand like scheme of the whole book, I really did enjoy it. I definitely am going to read the second one, but there were points where I was just so confused with what was going on. The romance in this book also reminded me a lot of Nesta and Cassian in A Court of Silver Flames, but also Azriel because he can do the shadows like Xaden can. The whole book is about defying the odds and proving people wrong. So it's about a college where they do dragon training, and there's like different fields. There's like scribes who write down all the dragon tactics or something, and then there's the actual writers who have to go through a bunch of near-death experiences with the trials and to get the dragon. I mean, people will kill other people to get to the top level, be feared, all of that stuff. The details written though were really good. Like you can imagine it completely in your head. There's like nothing left out. Violet is the main character. It's in her point of view. Violet's whole family except for her dad are dragon riders. Her mom is like the high general of the college. Violet's kind of fragile, which she calls herself and everyone else calls her. She's always in pain, which I feel really bad for. Her mother forces her to go into the dragon school. Violet is terrified and afraid that she won't make it. Her sister's afraid that she won't make it. Her mom does not care at all. She's literally the worst mom, doesn't care about her kids whatsoever. Every single character really underestimates her ability, but she continues to defy them and prove them all wrong. She does a lot of hard work and training, and it pays off. You also get to know all of the characters, and there are a lot of characters. Sometimes I get confused with like who is who, but I do really love every single one. And sooner or later we meet Xaden, which they hate each other at first because of like a family feud, but sooner or later they get connected, and so they have to be together, they have to work together, but not without their trials because they really hate each other, or so they say. Things happen, bada bing, bada boom. I love their relationship. The book is pretty predictable, but it does have a few plot twists and unexpected things that happen. The final scenes in this book pulled me right back in. If I was worried about it, the ending battle was so intense, and the ending, the last paragraph, just sends you for a loop. You're like, what the heck is happening? I was not expecting that, but I like it. I mean, my expectations were like through the roof, and they were like halfway met. I did really like it. I just didn't like it as much as other people did, or as much as what I thought I would. So I'm gonna give it like 3.5, 4 stars. These were all of the books I read this month. I'm realizing I just gave all of them 4 stars. Go read a book. It's really fun. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye!